Hi, I'm Rich Whitney, chair of the Independence Party, with an important message about our petition drive as we're trying to get our candidate for governor, Gary Pierce, and Lieutenant Governor, Alejandro Cabrera, on the ballot for the general election this November. In order to do that, we need to get petition signatures from voters, a lot of them. We need to get 25,000 valid signatures from voters throughout the state, which means in order to survive a challenge, we probably need to get about 50,000. So, how do you go about in doing that? Well, we have to get out in the streets with our clipboards and with our petitions and get out there and talk to people and ask them to sign our petitions. Now, I know for many people, this may seem a little bit intimidating, right? Even if you support our candidates and you really want to see them on the ballot, you might be thinking, well, but that's not for me. Going up to total strangers and talking to them and asking them to do something, I just can't do that. I'm just not cut out for that. And that's an understandable reaction. I kind of felt that way myself for the first time I started doing it. But I have collected literally thousands of petition signatures from voters over the years in various petition drives. And I can tell you that it's not nearly as intimidating as it may seem. In fact, it's not really intimidating at all. It's kind of like when you want to go swimming, right? And you first dip your toe into the water and it seems a little cold, and oh, I don't want to go into that water. It's too cold. But once you actually do it and dive in and get used to it, hey, the water's great. This is fine. I'm having a good time. Now, I'm not saying that petitioning is having a good time, but it's similar in the sense that it's not nearly as intimidating as you probably think it is. It's fine. And you may actually have a good time. You're out there in the sunshine, you're getting a little bit of exercise, you're talking to people, you're doing your civic duty. It's actually kind of a fulfilling activity when you get right down to it. Once you get your feet wet and you start getting used to the water, so to speak, and you feel comfortable petitioning, then you'll find that it's really a very fulfilling kind of exercise. Because the reality is, the majority of the people that you talk to in Illinois, when you're trying to get them to sign a petition, 99% of them are going to be polite, at least reasonably polite. They're not going to yell at you. In all the many, many hours I've spent petitioning, I've never had anybody threaten me. The vast majority of people that you talk to are reasonable, and you would probably be pleasantly surprised to find out how many will sign your petitions. Why? Our petitions. Because what we're asking them to do is something that's very reasonable. We're trying to give voters more choices on the ballot. Not only more choices, but better choices on the ballot for governor and lieutenant governor. So why wouldn't they want to sign? And you ought to approach it with that attitude. All right. So what do you actually do? Well, you have your petitions on a clipboard. You have your petition sheets, and you're at a public event. It's a farmer's market, or you're outside of a concert, or whatever the event is. You want to go wherever there's going to be gatherings of people on public property, so you won't get kicked out unless you have permission on private property. You can't do it on somebody's private property. So you go to an event, and there's people coming in to this event, or they're coming by, and you go up to them and you hold your clipboard up. And here's what you do. First, you ask them, are you registered to vote in Illinois? That's your icebreaker. Real simple, because this is what we need to know, right? This is the first thing we need to know. If they're not registered to vote in Illinois, they can't sign our petition. So if they say, no, I'm not registered, or I'm from Missouri, or whatever it is, you just say, well, thank you. This is for Illinois voters, though, but you have a nice day. And that's the end of it. If they say, yes, I am registered to vote, then what I like to do, everybody's got to develop their own style. But for me personally, what works best is I have the clipboard, I'm holding it up, and I show it to them. And I say, hey, I wonder if you could help us out. We're trying to get a couple of candidates for governor and lieutenant governor on the ballot in Illinois for a new political party. But in order to do that, we need to get petition signatures from voters. Can you please help us out with a signature today? That's it. That's the spiel. Real easy. Now, what will happen next? You'd be surprised, depending on what kind of crowd you're working, anywhere from a third to half, maybe even more than half, will say, sure, where do I sign? You'll be pleasantly surprised to find out how many people will do that. Other people will be more cautious. They'll say, well, who are these candidates? I don't know anything about it. What's this independence party you're talking about? Well, at that point, you need to have a very brief but productive conversation. And what you do is you just say, well, the Independence Party is a political party that is devoted to peace, environment, and civil rights. And we're just trying to get on the ballot, though. Signing this petition doesn't commit you to vote for us. This is just so voters have another choice in the ballot this November. And that's when most people at that point will either decide, yes, I will sign, or no, I won't. Sometimes they want to know a little bit more. Well, who are these people? Well, Gary Pierce, he's a minister from Springfield, and he's devoted his life to helping people recover from addiction. And Alejandro Cabrera is from Aurora, Illinois, and he's a personal trainer. But again, this is not asking you to vote for him. This is just so we get him on the ballot so voters have this other choice. You keep coming back to that. If they still want to know more, then if you have a palm card or something like that, you can hand it to them. Or you can tell them our website, indievoters.org, or you can go with standwithgary.com to learn more. If they're reluctant to sign at that point, you just let them go. So please think about it, sir or ma'am. But you have a nice day, and hopefully you can sign later after you check out what our candidates are all about and what this campaign's about. And that's pretty much it, right? Like I said, most people are going to be polite. They'll either sign or they won't sign, but you have a short conversation with them. And even the ones that won't sign, the worst thing that's ever happened to me while petitioning is they might make a snarky comment to you or something like, well, I already know who I'm going to vote for, or, something like that. They're not really going to be offensive. They realize you're out there trying to do something you believe in. And most people, the overwhelming majority, are respectful of that. Most people respect the fact that you're out there doing something that you believe in for a good political cause. And even if they don't support that cause because they're a diehard Democrat or a diehard Republican or whatever, and they won't sign, well, they still respect you, and it's a short conversation. You say, thank you, you have a good day. They might say the same. They move on. You go on to the next person, right? Every once in a while, maybe about 1% of the time, you'll get somebody that really wants to chat with you about politics. And that's fine to an extent, but obviously you're there to get signatures. You can't get involved in a long, drawn out conversation. So you might want to talk with them for a minute or two and say, well, these are some of the things that the Independence Party stands for. This is why I'm doing it. If we get 5% of the vote this election, that means we become an established party, and then we'll be able to run more candidates and we'll have a much lower signature gathering requirement. You can tell them a few basic things like that, and that's great, But what you don't want to do is, well, what's his position on property taxes? Or is he pro-life? Or is he this? Or is he that? Give the best answer you can, but make it clear, again, you always want to circle back to the point is this is just so voters have another choice. And if the person you're talking to clearly wants to chat with you for a long time, at a certain point, you need to just say, well, hey, this has been a great conversation, sir or ma'am. But, I do need to get back to talking to other voters here to try to get signatures. Would you like to sign our petition? If not, I do have to talk to other people. I'm sure you understand. But do go to our website at indievoters.org or standwithgary.com and learn more. And maybe we'll run into each other and you can talk a little bit further down the road. Or you can communicate with us on our Facebook page or our X page, and you can ask more questions there. Find a way to extricate yourself from the conversation politely so that you can get back to what you're really there to do, and that is to get signatures from voters. So those are some of the basics. When you get the person to sign, it's important you want to, point on the petition sheet the first line that says you sign here, and then in the second block you print your name, and then put the address where you're registered, and then write in the county in the last line, please do not abbreviate, and we need this information, in order for your signature to count. And that's all we're doing. Once in a while, people ask, well, is this going to put me on a mailing list or anything? And the answer is no, we're not doing this to put you on a mailing list. This is going to the State Board of Elections. All you're doing by signing this is saying that you want to see our candidates on the ballot. That's all. Nothing more, nothing less than that. Those are some of the basics. Here's another little tip for you. If you go down to the bottom of the page, if you intend to circulate, or if you intend to get more than a couple of pages of signatures, here's a little tip. You can fill out this bottom part of the petition sheet, the part that I have circled here. You can take one blank petition sheet, fill this part out, and then make copies of that version of the sheet with your information already filled out. Make 10 or 20 copies, whatever it is you expect to eventually collect. And then you don't have to handwrite it in every time. You do want to leave blank the other parts, because you don't sign the petition until you're in front of a notary. These sheets have to be notarized, right? And you can find a notary at just about any bank. You can go to our website. We can help you find a notary if you need to find a notary. But it's not that big a deal to get them notarized. You just go in front of the notary. They check your ID. Then you sign in front of them. Then the notary fills out the rest of it and stamps it. There's that little place in the corner, the upper left corner of this part, where you write in the county where you're getting it notarized. And that's basically it. It's really not that difficult a process. It's not intimidating at all. Again, it's actually kind of fulfilling. Once you actually get out there and start doing it, you'll find, I think, that this is a very rewarding thing that you're doing. And it's not difficult to do at all. It's real simple. If you need more information, you can go to our website, standwithgary.com or indievoters.org, where you can download petitions sheets and petitioning instructions that may answer any other questions that you may have. But that's about it. Thanks for whatever you can do. We greatly appreciate your efforts to help us get on the ballot in Illinois. Thank you.